2026 is the most exciting and most dangerous year to buy a motorcycle in the last decade. Some bikes this year are so good, they will literally make you question why you waited this long to ride. And some bikes? They will drain your bank account, leave you stranded, or crush your soul before you hit 500 miles. Today, we are breaking it all down, the 4 absolute best and the 3 worst motorcycles of 2026. No paid promotions, no brand bias, just real specs, real rider experience, and real facts. Let's go. All right, let's start with the bike that had the motorcycle world absolutely losing it when Honda finally revealed it, the 2026 Honda CB1000F. This machine has been rumored for years. People begged for it, Honda teased it, and when it finally landed, the reaction was simple. Honda delivered. This bike is Honda's love letter to 1980s motorcycling. Specifically, it takes direct visual inspiration from the CB750F, the bike Freddie Spencer rode to AMA championship glory. That round headlight, that angular tank, those serpentine exhaust pipes converging into a bell-shaped silver silencer. Every single design choice is intentional. Honda calls it original soul, modern rebellion. And honestly, that's not marketing fluff. That's the truth. Under that retro shell lives a 1000cc inline 4-cylinder engine derived directly from the legendary Fireblade, Honda's flagship Superbike. Now, Honda didn't just drop a race engine in here. They retuned the cams, revised the inlet funnels, and actually alternated the intake funnel lengths to create a pulsating, offbeat induction note that sounds like the old CBs. Result? 122 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and 103 Newton-meters of torque at 8,000 RPM, all sitting thick in the mid-range where you actually use it on the street. Top speed is 230 kilometers per hour. That's 143 miles per hour. First and second gears are deliberately short for snappy city pull. Longer top gears keep it relaxed at highway speed. The slipper assist clutch makes downshift smooth and the lever light. Here's where Honda absolutely over-delivers for the price. A 6-axis IMU, inertial measurement unit, which gives you cornering-aware ABS and traction control. That's a first for this CB platform. Throttle-by-wire. 3 default ride modes. Sport, Standard, Rain, plus 2 user modes you can customize yourself. A 5-inch optically bonded TFT screen with Honda Road Sync smartphone connectivity. Honda. Smart Key Ignition. This is full 2026 technology on a bike that looks like it came from 1982. That combination is rare. The chassis uses 41mm Showa SFF BP USD forks and a Pro-Link rear shock. Suspension travel is generous enough for real-world roads. The long subframe is specifically engineered for pillion comfort. Honda didn't forget the passenger. Braking is handled by 4-piston radial mount calipers biting 310-meter floating discs. Price in the UK sits at $10,599, which converts to roughly $10,260 US. Now, Honda has confirmed European and Japanese deliveries from February 2026. US availability? Not announced yet, but the lobbying has begun and most insiders expect it to follow. The bottom line on the CB1000F, this bike offers Fireblade performance, modern electronics, and a design that stops people in the street at a price that undercuts most modern retro leader bikes on the market. That is difficult to beat. Honda has created something genuinely special here. The Daytona name means something. If you have been riding long enough, you remember the Daytona 675, arguably the finest sounding, finest handling middleweight sport bike of its era. For 2026, the Daytona badge sits on a 660cc triple, and it has just received a meaningful round of upgrades that make it the best middleweight sport bike under $10,000 right now. Full stop. Let's be clear, this isn't an all-new bike. The core platform carries over from the 2025 model, but 3 updates for 2026 genuinely matter. Number 1, a new Showa 41mm separate function, big piston, SFF BP, upside-down fork. that is now adjustable for both compression and rebound damping. This was a genuine criticism of the earlier Daytona. Experienced riders felt it lacked support when pushed hard. Fixed. Number 2. Triumph Shift Assist, a bidirectional quickshifter, is now standard, not an optional extra, standard. That saves you money at the dealer and makes every gear change smoother. Number 3. Out go the Michelin Power 6 tires, in come Metzeler Sportec M9RR Super Sport tires. This is a grippier, more performance-oriented rubber choice, appropriate for a bike with the Daytona name. The 6559cc liquid-cooled triple-cylinder is unchanged, and that is not a complaint. It produces a claimed 94 horsepower at 11,250 RPM and 51 pound-feet of torque at 8,250 RPM, with a 12,750 RPM redline. Triumph says 80% of that peak torque is available across the entire rev range. That means from low city speeds all the way to the top, this engine pulls cleanly and eagerly. The triple firing order gives the Daytona its signature sound. It's not a buzzy twin and it's not a flat inline 4. It's something in between, something distinctive, something addictive. 3 ride modes, sport, road, rain, traction control, is switchable. The chassis is a tubular steel perimeter frame that is stiff where it needs to be and forgiving where the road demands it. Braking comes from twin 310 mm front discs with radial 4-piston Triumph calipers backed by Continental. ABS. Seat height is 31.9 inches, accessible for most riders. An optional low seat drops it to 30.9 inches. Wet weight, 443 pounds. This is not just a street bike. The Daytona 6E60 has been competing in the Italian CIV Sportbike Championship and Germany's IDM Sportbike Series, and it has won championships in both. Triumph is also targeting the upcoming World Sportbike Championship with this machine. Race-proven means the chassis dynamics are sorted at a level beyond what you'd expect at this price. US MSRP, $9,395. It arrives at dealers in April 2026. Competitors in this class include the Yamaha YZF R7 at $9,399, Suzuki GSX-8R at $9,699, Honda CBR65DR at $9,199, and the Aprilia RS660 at $11,949. The Daytona undercuts the Aprilia by over $2,000 and brings a triple cylinder to a segment of twins. For the price and the experience it delivers, the 2026 Daytona 660 is the sport bike value pick of the year. If the Honda CB1000F is the bike that surprises you, the Ducati Panigale V4 is the bike that humbles you. This is not a motorcycle for everyone. It was never designed to be. The 2025 on Panigale V4 carries over into 2026 with its refined Desmo 16 Stradale engine and the most advanced predictive electronics ever fitted to a road-legal motorcycle. This is MotoGP technology with a number plate. The Desmo 16 Stradale V4 engine displaces 999 cc. Power output, 215 brake horsepower. In a motorcycle. Weight, 194 kilograms, approximately 428 pounds, wet. That power-to-weight ratio is borderline absurd. But raw horsepower numbers alone don't tell you what makes this engine special. It's the delivery. Ducati's Desmodromic valve actuation system, a mechanical masterpiece with no valve return springs, allows the engine to rev with a precision and urgency that no conventional 4-valve engine can match. The sound at full throttle, through the factory Akrapovic-style exhaust on track, is one of the most dramatic sounds in motorcycling. The 2026 Panigale V4 runs what Ducati calls a predictive electronics package. This includes the Ducati Vehicle Observer, a system that uses algorithm-based analysis to continuously estimate tire grip levels, brake temperature, and rider input patterns. In real terms, it adjusts traction control, wheelie control, and ABS intervention in real time based on where you are in the corner and what the tire is actually doing. Motorcyclist testers who rode the V4S on track noted that the electronics feel almost invisible. They work so transparently that you trust them immediately, and that trust allows you to push further than you would on a bike with cruder intervention. Multiple riding modes, cornering ABS, launch control, pit limiter. It is all there. The front-end grip and high-speed stability comes partly from the aerodynamic winglets. Ducati's experience in MotoGP directly influencing the road bike. Design. The chassis is a monocoque front frame, sharing geometry philosophy with the Desmosedici race bikes. Track riders and experienced road riders consistently report that the chassis inspires confidence at a pace that surprises them. Here is the honest reality. This is a machine that demands respect, physical fitness, experience, and financial commitment. Service intervals are 7,500 miles or 12 months. Desmodromic valve adjustments, unique to Ducati, require specialist tools and trained technicians. This is not a cheap bike to run. Know what you are buying, respect what you are riding. Price varies by market, but expect to pay in the region of $28,000 to $32,000 US for the V4S specification. What you get for that money is a machine tested and proven at World SBK level, put together with Italian craftsmanship, and capable of embarrassing purpose-built track cars around a closed circuit. If you have the skill, the experience, and the budget, the Panigale V4 remains the absolute benchmark of what a production sport bike can be in 2026. Best bike number 4, 2026 BMW M1000RR. If the Ducati Panigale V4 is the Italian passion project, brilliant, emotional, demanding, then the BMW M1000RR is the German engineering masterpiece, methodical, clinical, and in 2026 it is the reigning World SBK Championship-winning motorcycle. That is not a marketing slogan, that is a fact. The World SBK Championship-winning bike going into 2026 is built on this exact platform. Engine, 999cc, inline 4. Power, 215 brake horsepower. Same headline figure as the Panigale, but the delivery character is fundamentally different. Where the Ducati V4 screams and demands, the BMW M1000RR builds power with metronomic precision. The power band is wide, the torque delivery is linear, and the chassis is specifically designed to translate that power into corner exit speed with maximum stability. MCN test riders described the M1000RR as blisteringly fast in a straight line, with stopping power to back it up, while offering a sense of poise and confidence from its chassis that is crafted for chasing tenths with a set of sticky slick tires. That is a quote from a professional road tester who put this bike through its paces. That is not marketing. That is a journalist's honest assessment. The M designation means this is the World SBK homologation spec machine. What does that mean in practice? Carbon fiber M wheels, significantly lighter than conventional cast wheels, reducing unsprung mass, which directly improves suspension response and tire tracking. Outlandish aerodynamic fairing with huge winglets. Not for aesthetics. They generate real aerodynamic downforce at speed, keeping the front wheel planted under acceleration. More power than the standard S1000RR. More exotic components, more track-focused geometry. It is more exclusive, significantly more expensive, and it is not designed to offer value in the traditional sense. It is designed to offer maximum speed and maximum thrill, and it delivers both in exceptional measure. Here is what distinguishes the M1000RR from simply being a fast bike on paper. Riders who have tested this machine at circuit pace consistently report a feeling of confidence that seems impossible at the speeds involved. The suspension, specifically calibrated for high-grip surfaces, communicates tire load so precisely that experienced riders feel comfortable at velocities that would be terrifying on a lesser machine. The electronics package, HP Race TC launch control, multiple ABS settings, are not intrusive. They are invisible and enabling. This bike sits approximately $15,000 above the already expensive S1000RR. That puts it well above the price point of most of its direct rivals. Maintenance is demanding. Parts are expensive. This is a racing motorcycle with a number plate attached. If those facts are not a problem for you, and you have the riding skill to match the performance on offer, the M1000RR is simply one of the most extraordinary vehicles available for sale in 2026. A World SBK Championship winner. Available with a number plate for road use. The BMW M1000RR is the most capable road-legal superbike going into 2026. It is not the most accessible, but it is the best. Worst bikes of 2026. Worst bike number 1, Livewire S2 Del Mar. Look, I want to be fair here. The Livewire S2 Del Mar is not a bad motorcycle to ride. Multiple professional testers have said it handles well, and the electric motor delivers immediate, punchy acceleration. But this segment is called Worst Bikes of 2026. And worst does not always mean bad to ride. Sometimes it means terrible value, terrible timing, and a product that has failed its customers and its company in ways that genuinely matter. Livewire S2 Del Mar qualifies on all 3 counts. The S2 Del Mar currently starts at approximately $16,499. For that money, you get a street tracker-style electric motorcycle with a limited range battery system. The original Livewire flagship launched in 2019 at $29,599 and was widely called one of the most overpriced vehicles ever sold with 2 wheels. Now, several years of price cuts later, the S2 Del Mar sits at $16,499, and it is still considered overpriced by most market analysts and consumer reviews. One motorcycle industry writer put it plainly: the Livewires were overpriced by a factor of 5 to 10 and now are overpriced by a factor of 3 to 8. That is a damning assessment, and the sales numbers back it up entirely. Let me give you real numbers. These are not opinions, these are reported figures. In 2024, Livewire, the entire brand, sold 612 motorcycles globally, total, for the whole year. Their operating loss in 2024 was $110 million. In the first quarter of 2025, Livewire sold 33 motorcycles, that is fewer than 1 bike, per day for 3 months. In the second quarter of 2025, they sold 55 motorcycles and posted $18 million in operating losses in that quarter alone. To put that in perspective, Livewire's plan when launching was to sell 100,000 electric bikes by 2026. They sold 612 in 2024. The gap between ambition and reality here is staggering. Part of the problem is a deep brand identity crisis. Harley-Davidson spun Livewire off into a separate company precisely because the Harley badge was believed to be hurting sales with younger, tech-oriented buyers. The result? Livewire bikes that no longer have the Harley badge, but that look, by most accounts, exactly like Harley-Davidson's. The loyal Harley community doesn't want silent electrics. The young tech market wants a Tesla-style name, not a spun-off legacy brand. Livewire has fallen between both audiences. Real-world range on the S2 models sits at approximately 100 miles, in ideal conditions. Highway riding reduces this significantly. The U.S. charging infrastructure for motorcycles, specifically, remains underdeveloped compared to car charging networks. So you have a 16,000-power motorcycle with range anxiety as a genuine daily concern. Livewire S2 Del Mar in 2026, a company that has burned over $100 million annually selling dozens of bikes, a product priced out of reach of its target audience, range that creates anxiety rather than freedom. It is not the worst motorcycle to ride, but as a purchase, as a value proposition, as a product that has delivered on its promises, it is one of the worst stories in 2026 motorcycling. Worst bike number 2, 2026, Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250. The Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 is, on paper, a legitimate adventure bike. It has the specs. It has the technology. It has a design that draws attention at every fuel stop. But in 2026, buying a Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 means buying into a brand that is, by its own CEO's admission, going through one of the worst periods in its history. That context matters. That affects ownership. That affects resale value. And that affects your long-term experience. Let's look at what is actually happening with Harley-Davidson in 2026. These are real documented figures. In the first half of 2025, Harley-Davidson new motorcycle sign-ups worldwide fell by 27.7%. North America, Harley's core home market, fell by 20.7%. The brand's heavyweight motorcycle market share dropped from 30% to 27% as younger riders shifted to Asian and European brands with lighter weight, more advanced technology, and more accessible price points. Harley's own new CEO issued a sobering statement going into 2026, calling it an interim year with no miraculous turnarounds expected. The focus is streamlining the product range and redefining market position. When a company's leadership publicly calls the coming year an interim year, that tells you something important. The Pan America 1250 itself, a 1,252cc V-twin adventure bike, weighs approximately 559 to 565 pounds, depending on specification. For context, the BMW R1300 GS Adventure, its primary competitor in the adventure touring segment, offers comparable or superior power with a chassis that is more dynamically rewarding on mixed surfaces. At a price point that can reach $20,000 or more in special trim, the Pan America puts a buyer into a competitive segment against machines from BMW, KTM, and Triumph that offer better off-road dynamics, lower weight in some cases, and brands that are not publicly navigating a corporate identity crisis. The Pan America is not a bad bike in isolation. But dollar for dollar in the adventure segment in 2026, there are better options. Resale value is a real conversation when buying any motorcycle. Harley-Davidson has traditionally held resale value well thanks to a fiercely loyal community. But with sales down more than 27% globally, with younger buyers actively choosing other brands, and with the brand in a period of self-described strategic repositioning, the long-term resale trajectory for current-generation Harley models faces real uncertainty. Buying at a premium today and selling in 3 years into a market of declining Harley demand is a risk that deserves honest acknowledgement. To be fair, and we believe in being fair, if you are a die-hard Harley rider, if the culture, the community, the V-twin character, and the sound mean something real to you, the Pan America can still deliver on those emotional terms. But as a rational performance value motorcycle purchase in the 2026 adventure bike market, the numbers and the brand context make it difficult to recommend. The 2026 Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250, a capable bike carrying too much corporate weight in 2026. Heavy, expensive, competing in a class where the competition is currently sharper, and arriving from a brand in the middle of a publicly acknowledged transitional crisis. In this category, your money has better homes. Worst bike. Number 3, Husqvarna Norden 901, 2026. The Husqvarna Norden 901 is the most heartbreaking bike on this list, because this is a machine that looked perfect on paper. Riders queued to pre-order it before it even launched. The promise was clear. Husqvarna off-road DNA in a road-legal adventure package. Swedish engineering heritage. A bike that could genuinely do both worlds. What actually arrived, and what continues into 2026, is a story of real, documented disappointment. Let's talk engines. When the Norden 901 launched, it used the 790cc parallel twin engine from its KTM platform sibling. That engine had documented problems, real ones. Reliability issues that left riders frustrated. Husqvarna responded by replacing it with the 890cc engine. But the 890 brought its own set of criticisms from the community, not identical problems. but concerns about the character of the power delivery and long-term durability from riders who had already been disappointed once. Then in 2024, parent company Pierer Mobility, which owns both Husqvarna and KTM, filed for insolvency proceedings following significant financial difficulties. A company navigating insolvency and restructuring is not a company in the ideal position to be focused purely on product quality and warranty support. That context directly affects buyers of any Husqvarna or KTM product in this period. Here is the most practical issue with the Norden 901, and this applies to the 2022 and onward models documented by real riders. The bike is wide, significantly wider than the off-road-ready adventure bikes it competes against. For a machine that markets itself on dual-purpose capability, that promises the adventure riding community real dirt capability, being excessively wide is not a cosmetic issue. It is a fundamental handling limitation on single track, on narrow forest roads, on the kind of terrain the Norden's marketing suggests it belongs. Multiple rider reviews have specifically flagged this. It is not an isolated complaint. The 2026 adventure bike market is ruthlessly competitive. Consider what the Norden 901 is up against in its price bracket. The Royal Enfield Himalayan 450, launched with real off-road intent, lighter weight, and genuine trail capability. The BMW F450 GS confirmed for 2026, with a fresh 420cc parallel twin producing 48 horsepower in a package weighing 393 pounds, more capable off-road than most bikes in its segment. The KTM 890 Adventure R and its variants. In a segment this competitive, a bike carrying engine reliability history, a parent company financial crisis, and a documented width problem enters 2026 at a significant disadvantage. Here is the important nuance. The Norden 901, in recent updated form, has made genuine improvements. If you are primarily a tarmac adventure rider who wants the Husqvarna aesthetic and does not plan serious off-road use, the width is less of an issue. The engine improvements are real. The bike can still deliver an engaging road experience. But if off-road capability is part of why you are considering the Norden, look carefully at the evidence before committing. The 2026 Husqvarna Norden 901, a bike that promised everything and delivered a complicated reality. Engine history, corporate turbulence, and a real-world chassis limitation in the category it claims to lead. There are better options in the adventure segment in 2026. Know that before you sign the paperwork. So there you have it. 4 bikes in 2026 that are genuinely worth your money, your passion, and your time on the road. And 3 bikes that, for honest, researched, documented reasons, deserve a second look before you commit. Every number, every fact in this video is research-based. No hype, no sponsorship, no brand favoritism. If this helped you, subscribe, drop your bike in the comments, and ride safe. We will see you in the next one.